All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. Everyone avoiding the wild and wacky April Fool's jokes out there. Everyone's a wild and wacky guy online, man. That Tiger Woods, what a crazy character.
The best is who bit. It's like Jason Whitlock. He was like, "That's awesome, Tiger. Play well." It was like, come on, dude.
How could anybody on earth fall for Tiger Woods, who just had Achilles surgery,
dude,
actually playing at the Masters next week?
I think Tracy Wolfson, who is the on-field reporter on the #1 CBS football broadcast, she wrote underneath, I don't know if she was joking, but she must have been, but she was like, "This is awesome for the Masters. I hope you play well, Tiger." I just was like, no way.
That's real then, man. Like, I'm sorry. You have to, if you're going to jump on it, you have to be sarcastic with your follow-up if you're in on the April Fool's joking Twitter stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
she said, "This is awesome for the Masters."
That was hook, line, and sinker, man. That's disappointing to hear. That's disappointing to hear.
We all wanted it to be true.
Of course, it would be great to see Tiger there.
Yeah.
But you didn't bite. I hope you didn't bite this morning.
He stabbed his Achilles like 3 weeks ago.
Right, exactly.
I didn't bite, but it got my attention.
You wanted to believe.
I had to just think of the day because I saw another. This is what led me to this one. I saw another stupid one that said, "Tiger has been named a ceremonial starter with Nicholas Player and Tom Watson."
I think, yeah.
And I was like, Tiger Woods already? He won't be he doesn't want to be doing that, going out there and bunting a driver out hungover at 8 a.m.
Right.
And I'm like, and then I thought of the day, I'm like, that put me into goofy season. And then I'm glad the guy's having some fun, though.
Yeah, good for, hey, listen, go ahead, have a little bit of fun. He's going through it. Love is still in the air, though. So, right, he's in a very good spirit.
That's the bizarre thing to me.
Now.
Like, who the hell is running Tiger Woods' social media accounts?
It's not Tiger.
It can't be Tiger.
It's not Eldrick, man. Eldrick is not sitting there saying, "Pass me my phone."
We talked about it last week. Like, why would a guy? It's just like LeBron. Like, why would a guy that wants privacy and craves privacy put out a notice dating one of the most famous people in the world? And like, why do you just have to, like, people are going to get onto you anyway. People are going to find out by yourself. Why did you need to just announce that? Yeah. I thought it was goofy, man.
It was crazy. And it's so not Tiger. Like, this is the guy who gave nobody anything his entire career during his prime. He was famous for never saying a word about anything. And if you wanted, if he got injured, he'd throw out a very tersely worded press release that said, "I had back surgery. Screw off," basically. Leave me alone.
The one on the couch lying back with the shades on and the bad hair was just weird.
It's so awkward, man. It was Weekend at Bernie. Like, that's who it was. It was Bernie Lomax. But I think what you have here is a scenario where for the first time in his dating career, the name on the other person is way bigger than Woods. And
right now, yes.
And for the rest of time, like, let's be clear, the name Trump isn't going to all of a sudden die off in 4 or 5 years. My sneaking suspicion was someone in that category of the relationship said, "You better
it's time to tell the world.
Get this out there because my kids are getting bothered about it, and you better get to the bottom of this." That would be my guess.
Yeah,
is that it was more Trump than it was Tiger, because you're right. Everything Tiger Woods has ever done has been secretive, which is his right. He doesn't have to do anything for anyone publicly. But when you attach the other name to it, that changes some things. And that would be my assumption, is it was more like, Tiger, this is getting a little carried away. Use your account, get it out there and do your thing. But it is a good question for April Fool's Day. Maybe we can fire this up on Twitter. Which sport is the most conducive for you to, like, fall victim to an April Fool's joke? Because you see it today, like, the Leafs have signed Phil Kessel for the stretch run. You're like, all right, like, good stuff, Phil.
I thought the hockey ones were so not believable. It was just, I don't know. If you don't catch on to it by 8 a.m., you're let's be honest, you're dumb.
I know. You got to be on your toes, man. You got to be on your toes.
If you wake up and you're caffeinated and at 8 o'clock it registers to you that this is April Fool's Day, Because I knew it was April Fool's, and a couple hockey ones I did a horse eye, and I was like, hang on a second.
Yeah,
here.
that's interesting timing for that.
I saw a blue check mark. Okay, you got my attention with that, and let's read the rest. And I was like, nope, not doing it, not going there.
No, I know. I don't have an answer. Like, I'm just thinking of this on the fly. I don't have an answer. It's probably an off-season sport, though. Like, if you're hockey, baseball, basketball, any story that is off the beaten path to any extent that might throw the team off during the season, I think you have to be on edge for that. I think there could be some NFL, like you could get duped into an NFL story today, right? Because there's like if Aaron, and again, it's if it's something within the range of believability, that's when you can actually fall for it. Aaron Rodgers is retiring. Okay, I could believe that. It sounds like he's going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Art Rooney, the second or the third, whichever one it is now, he's not quite certain of what's going on. He spoke today and said, I keep hearing that it's moving in our direction, that Aaron Rodgers could be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
What the hell could the delay possibly be? Like, just give the guy a time frame. Like, say, dude, I mean, what's today? What day is it today?
April
Tuesday?
1st, literally on Tuesday.
Yeah, April 1st, Tuesday, April 1st. By Friday, if you don't have an answer for us, we're moving on to the next guy. So what is it?
Well, where are they going, though? Because Russell Wilson's already left. Justin Fields has already left. Pittsburgh has no other option, and neither does Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Like everyone else has signed somebody, so he doesn't have somewhere else to go. Minnesota's moved on.
Let me just stop
the
you
Giants
there.
have
Mike
moved
Tomlin
on.
came out and said he's comfortable with Mason Rudolph.
Exactly. April
snaps.
Fools. April Fools comment
that
right
was
there.
maybe that wasn't.
That's
April
the
Fools.
number one April Fool's comment. Mike Tomlin with a straight face saying, I am confident in Mason Rudolph.
Well, Mike Tomlin can say that with a straight face because he's had winning seasons with quarterbacks of Mason Rudolph's ilk.
Yes, during the regular season.
Yeah, but he's done it.
Yes, he has.
Had winning records.
During the regular season. You would think at some point he wants to maybe get back into the win column in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he probably needs an offense that looks borderline 21st century.
Right.
Right? Like he has been running an offense that looks like Mike Ditka was the head coach.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, and Tomlin's record speaks for itself. But this is going to happen. I don't have the answer as to why it's not official yet. And I also find it very far-fetched that the owner of the Steelers doesn't know exactly what's going on.
Right.
I'm being told. Some people sent me a message saying maybe we're going to get Aaron. Wouldn't you be on top of that if you're the owner? Don't you have to know exactly who you're paying and the amount that you're paying and where your team is going? I think you have the right to have that kind of an answer.
I mean, I think the answer, O-Dog, is Aaron Rodgers is extremely high maintenance. And even signing him to a deal that looks like it's a foregone conclusion and he has no other options is a lot of work.
Very, very
Feschuk,
difficult.
I actually think that I think there's a lot of ego in play where he loves the world waiting around to see what he's going to do. He's like, I got to drag this out. I want someone to take a picture of me in Maui walking around with a blanket. I want them to think that I'm deep in thought. I just think there's a lot of ego involved with this. Like he likes having the football world waiting on his every second. It's just, I think that's a part of the gig, which is, I don't know. Everybody's got an ego, man, but to take it that far, it just seems a little bit much.
Yeah, blanket on the beach guy. Like, we get it. You're philosophical.
You know there's a camera out there.
Of course,
dude.
man.
Like,
you probably tipped the person off. I'll be out there on the pier in
dude,
like
if I
half
saw
an
you,
hour.
Hayes, if I saw you in Hawaii and you knew and you took the pic with the blank, I'd go to the airport and find your truck and I'd slash your tires.
Would that be the most obnoxious play? I have to make this happen at some point. What would be the best beach to do that at in Ontario? Probably somewhere off Lake Ontario. Somewhere downtown, or it could be anywhere, Scarborough Bluffs, something like that. I will reenact the Aaron Rodgers move, but I have to have a reason to be out there. Like, what could I possibly be contemplating? Masters picks?
Yeah.
Do I think the Leafs are finally going to get it done this year in the playoffs? Maybe that's what it has to be, and we can launch something. I will play the role of Aaron Rodgers, a little thought bubble. What is Hayes thinking? What is Hazy B thinking with a blanket on the beach somewhere in southern Ontario? Because we're getting closer and closer. I mean, we got a big one tomorrow night with the Panthers in town. Panthers at the Bell Center playing Montreal tonight. We'll get to that throughout the afternoon. And we're getting Max Pacioretty and Jani Hakanpaa updates. Like, that sounds like a pretty significant move here where Jani Hakanpaa is out there moving and shaking. And it sounds like Craig Berube is not completely downplaying the idea that he could be available to play. in the playoffs.
Now, is this an April Fool's joke, or is this
Are
real?
you screwing with me right now?
No, this is not. This is real. Okay, we have it. You want to play Craig Berube? I mean, I don't think Craig's the kind of guy that's going to buy into an April Fool's Jani Hakanpaa joke. I don't think the PR team would be very proud of that. I don't think Hakanpaa would love to be the brunt of that joke. This is what Berube had to say earlier today when he was asked, I believe, about both guys, Pacioretty and Jani Hakanpaa.
It's good that they're out there and they've been working, with our development crew and people back here skating and trying to get healthy. So hopefully they can get healthy and be part of the team at some point.
Okay. What do we make of that? Like, Pacioretty has played for the team. Hakanpaa technically dressed in one game, maybe two. I think he played in 2 games, didn't play a ton of minutes, and then he just disappeared. But
well, that's just it, Brian. Like, what are you going to get from a guy? And I don't know what goes on behind the scenes or how they assess it or how they, put stake in what he played 2 games and it looked like he couldn't play anymore. So I don't even know what the hell he's been doing for the last 2 months. So what kind of form could he possibly could he be in when he goes back into the lineup? That's something you have to ask. It's great to say, oh, he could be a positive contributor, but what are we going to be looking at here?
That is ultimately unknown at this point, and
I would say so.
And you also have to consider who he's competing with. Now, this is where the door opens up for your imagination to possibly run wild. And if he's healthy, he's competing with Simone Benoit, who is not an everyday rock star NHL player. I mean, this guy, he's had some really tough stretches. They are committed to him. They will not put Philippe Myers in the lineup. They will not do it. I thought they would over the weekend. After the Sharks game where I thought he really struggled, I thought they were going to sit him for a game, maybe the weekend. He was in there in L.A. He was in there in Anaheim. He redeemed himself, played pretty well against the Ducks. But that is Berube saying, you're going to have to work your way through this. You're the guy. You're going to play. But in order for Benoit to be there, Ekman-Larsson's on the wrong side. I think this is what they always dreamt up. I think this was always the plan, was not necessarily Brandon Carlo being available. I don't think you could have possibly thought that would be the case in September. But bring in Tanev. If you can find another right shot defenseman, which they did with Carlo, and have a third pairing of veterans, left shot Ekman-Larsson, right shot Hakanpaa, massive guys who have a lot of playoff experience, that was the ideal top 6. That's what they wanted, and I would totally concur with that. But I just don't know if you can trust him come playoff time if the guy hasn't played all year and his knees, by all accounts, are hanging on for dear life. Guys like Jake Taylor from Major League.
Yeah.
His knees have just not afforded him the opportunity to play. But if he gets the go-ahead, if he's skating the way he's skating, we're doing it with Landeskog daily. Landeskog, I was watching video of him today. He looks great. Gabe Landeskog looks like he could return come the playoffs. He hasn't played in years.
Yeah, the guy, when the players come out and say, for him to take the risk of coming back and putting his body, he's playing come the first game of the playoffs. Okay,
so now it's different. That's a forward. Maybe you ease him in. Maybe he plays on the left wing, third, fourth line. It's more of an energy thing. Your captain's back. But if Landeskog can play, why can't Hakanpaa play?
Well,
if Hakanpaa is showing you in practice, I'm mobile,
Hayes.
I can move.
Okay, the last time he went in the lineup, it was okay, I can play, I can move. And you remember what you saw during the game?
It wasn't good, man. I hear you.
No, it was what do we got our hands on here? So the question is, how is what we saw the first time that he was on the ice going to change from this time? In a pressure situation in a playoff game, you're going to wheel him out there, and then all of a sudden we're going to be like, what was that guy doing on the ice? I don't know.
No,
maybe this is all just, hey, man, act like you can't move and play a couple brutal games, but be ready for the playoffs. I don't know if that's a wink-wink kind of deal, but that's what you're kind of hoping for.
That would be a bit of an April Fool's joke, O-Dog, and that would be quite the maneuver by the Maple Leafs if that's indeed what they're doing here. But, looking at that clip, I've seen him skate a little bit in developmental drills. This is, to me, in case of emergency break glass, Benoit's hurt. Myers is hurt. Another guy goes. We have nobody else.
Yes.
We need.
Because I thought Myers, Feschuk, to your point, I thought Benoit was going to come out of the lineup in Los Angeles after he blew a wheel in that Lafreniere or Lafreniere, whoever scored the goal for the Kings. Benoit didn't look good on the play, and he's had some moments in the last month where you're like, man, he's kind of struggling a bit, and he's been a liability out there. And then it goes to Myers, and then what's after that?
Well, that's it. I mean, you're talking players from the minors, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going deep into your depth chart, and that can happen over the course of a playoff run. So I'm with you in terms of skepticism. In terms of actual ability, I will believe it when I see it. But I do believe the plan, this was what they were hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that as a six-pack, McCabe, Tanev, Riley, Carlo, Ekman, Larson, Hakanpaa would be a great six-pack of defensemen. Like, that's 6 veterans, 6 big bodies, 6 guys that have played in the playoffs. Like, those are 6 trees, basically, that you're putting out there. 3 on the left, 3 on the right. Like, it matches up beautifully, and I do think there would be a compelling, sense within that room, the coaching staff, the management staff, where they look at that board and say, that's what we want. And are we willing to gamble and give it a shot? I mean, we'll find out. Like, as of now, it doesn't seem overly likely, but I wouldn't be shocked if they wanted it to come to fruition.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if they were willing it, if he got to play the playoffs, Hakanpaa, and said, I think I can play me, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they played him.
Well, they want 36-year-old Max Pacioretty to be able to contribute too, but
Right.
Whether or not he can
is a different story.
Yeah, completely different story. It's going to be up to the fact that he's 36 years old. He's had a lot of health challenges, and he may not be able to do it. Now, we've seen him in short bursts at times look like the perfect playoff contributor. Physical, hard on the body, goes in front of the net, and has a good touch in front of the net. Like, what more could you ask for from a guy?
That's the one thing. I never
Exactly.
thought you'd say it about Max Pacioretty. The thing that he can bring come playoff times, he went through a month where he was destroying guys on the ice.
Yeah.
And if he could bring half of that to each game, like, it's big. And it's what I've been preaching for years. Like, I understand the skill guys from the Maple Leafs. They play a skill game. They want the puck. They want to possess the puck. But physicality is such a valuable weapon. Like, when you keep pounding defensemen, you can hurt them. You can take them out of the game. You can wear them down. And when you never do that, you're not wearing anybody down. I just think he can be a guy that can help. I don't think they're ever totally going to overwhelm somebody and wear them down. But adding some physicality and some speed like that could definitely be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, then you'd have Nyes, you've had McMahon. Like, Lawton's not a big guy, but he will play physically. Domi will throw his weight around. Again, not a big guy, but he will lean on you and take advantage. He's not going to shy away from a hit in the playoffs. Lorentz, maybe Pacioretty. Like, all of a sudden, you got 6-7 guys who can forecheck, who could possibly put other players on their heels. Matthews has that ability. I don't know if he'll ever commit to it completely. I'd love to see it come playoff time, because he is a big boy and he can catch guys, especially if his reputation is he won't hit me. Like, that's the most dangerous guy going when it comes to throwing body checks in the NHL. A guy who doesn't have has the reputation of a flyby guy that all of a sudden catches you and throws one. Like, that can be a big, big energy changer, especially at home. Like, the idea of Matthews throwing a big hit at Scotiabank Arena in the playoffs, that's going to make things pop. And I'm sure he's aware of it. He just has to commit to it. But yeah, those guys were skating today, and again, it was a short practice, but we gear up for tomorrow night because the Panthers are at the Bell Center tonight. Niko Mikkola against who tonight? Do we expect to see some sort of retribution because he shot a puck with time on the clock? Some people have pointed out how kind of crazy it is that the guy shot a puck with time left on the clock and got fined for it. But I think the intention, I think most people are well aware of what he was doing. Like, I can reason with the fine because I think people know he shot that puck at somebody.
I think the Habs have to wait for the game to be 4-1 because they're in desperation mode. And you want to send Jack Guy out there and do something stupid. I don't know who's going to do what, but I think they have to worry about the scoreboard first. And, I mean, I don't know how these guys operate now, but this is one of those scenarios. The situation that Montreal's in, back in the day, this might have to sleep until next February.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's how it would go. It was like, nothing to see here. And then all of a sudden, one random night, hell would break loose and people would be attacking that guy. Like, letting it sleep was kind of a thing in the past, but I don't think it's tonight that you're going to see that dealt with unless a score gets to 4-1 or 5-1 with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think the only way that there is a fight is if Mikkola is the one that's proactive. like during warm-up goes,
Yeah.
let's get this out of the way.
Out of the way.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to deal with this, let's do it right off
Yeah.
the first face-off, and then away we go.
That could happen because that has happened in the past. Proactive players say, I know what's coming. Let's figure this out. Let's get it over with so we can go out and play. And if that's the case, I think you're looking at Anderson. I don't know if Jack Guy, 2 defensemen are going to match up. But if not, I think you're onto something, and I think you're right. If you're the Habs, you got to take a number tonight. Like, the priority is 2 points. You've got to get in this game. They've beaten Florida twice in the last two or 3 weeks, including at the Bell Center on a Saturday night a couple of weeks ago where they played great. So Florida's a team they match up well against. Like, Florida is a team we're all preparing for come playoff time, but they are not going into the playoffs as some juggernaut the way that they're playing right now.
No.
Like, they have been – they've lost – a fair amount of games over the last month. They're dealing with injuries. They're dealing with new guys in the lineup. They're dealing with suspensions. Like Ekblad's out.
Yeah.
Like they are a wounded duck until they get to the playoffs. So if I'm Montreal, my game plan tonight, if I'm Marty St. Louis, I'm like, do not even think about it unless he says something first.
I don't know, though. Like, I think both things could go together because you pick an early fight with that dude, the Bell Center will be bedlam.
Yes.
And you can ride that energy wave to a big win. I mean, I could see that working for you both ways.
I could too, as long as you don't take an instigator or something like that.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, you can't have the 2 minutes tacked on, and then they score a power play goal. You look like dummies, man.
Yeah. You gotta. You might be able to put the two together. I'm with you on that. And I think the Bell Center, there's going to be energy anyway because there's only so many games left, and they're in a playoff spot. Like, there's 9 games left. We're into April here. It's go time for Montreal.
There's pent up demand in Montreal. There's no, like you guys have been there. There's no better building, maybe in all of sports.
Yeah, for a big game like this.
Than when the Habs are on the cusp of something like that. That place gets really, really crazy.
Yes,
and in a really fun way. Like it's just, to me, it's like one of the greatest venues in all of sports. It really is.
Yeah,
there's just nothing like it.
No,
I don't know what it is about the Montreal crowd, but they just get it in a way that is just infectious. And I'm not a Habs fan. I got no dog in the fight. I've just been to a lot of places where there's a lot of good crowds, and that's one of the best.
Absolutely. It's always been the reputation, and it will undoubtedly be the case tonight, again, with Florida in town in Montreal. We've got a bunch of games in the NHL. Mike Johnson will join us. Craig Button later this afternoon. Confirm or deny this hour. Blue Jays back in action tonight. We're hoping to hear some news on Scherzer. Like, he flew down to Pennsylvania. He was back with the team last night. Schneider probably speaking with the media the next half an hour or so. Maybe we'll get an update on what is going to happen here with Max Scherzer. But big win last night. And Bowden Francis looked great again, man. Like, he looked great again. We'll get into that with confirm or deny. But he has been a rock star for this team since beginning of August last year.
Yeah.
Like, he has just not slowed down. Didn't have a great spring, but that's irrelevant. What happens once you get to the real stuff? And last night was his first time out, and he looked really, really good.
He ain't no fifth starter, that's for sure.
No, that's the truth, man. Like, this guy gets he has no hitters going into the 4th, 5th, 6th inning, like every start.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
He had it cooking last night, and then 2 guys went back-to-back yard on him, and it was like,
get him out.
Please.
Get him
that's
out.
it.
That's
get
fine.
him out.
Get him out. You gave us 6 innings. That's all you can ask for. And
the analytics guys wanted him out earlier, but
is that right?
Oh yeah,
because it was third time through the rotation.
Yeah.
And
that's why the analytics guys want guys out.
Yes, you got to avoid something bad happening before it happens.
Yeah,
I see. Well, I mean, listen, that Nats offense is not exactly potent, so I'd like to believe that he could have continued to play, but. Anyway,
take that every time.
Yeah, great start, man. You give me 6 innings, pitch like that, only give up 2 runs, you'll take that every time. So more on that, we'll confirm or deny. And again, the Jays back in action tonight. Jose Barrios on the mound. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Oh, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm or deny. Statements are made. We go around the table. We either confirm them or we deny them. Very simple stuff. Very, very simple stuff, but very effective. Very effective. I think we can cut to the chase here on a lot of these. All right, let's kickstart this party with a little Leafs contract confirm or deny.
Oh.
Always our favorite topic of discussion. Confirm or deny, Matthew Nyes will make more on average in his next contract than John Tavares in his next contract. Who will have the higher cap hit?
And this could be Tavares' contract, could be with another
Anywhere,
team.
wherever they play next year, who is going to have the higher cap hit?
I'm going to 100% confirm this.
Matthew Nyes, you think will have a higher cap hit than John Tavares? Okay.
I actually do confirm this because that's what happens when you're 22, 23 years old and you score 26 goals, 27 goals, and you're projected to be a 35-goal man, and everybody's going bonkers over the stats with goals and hits combined and what he's all about. He's got a lot of promise, and that's kind of the sweet spot to get paid. So I'm 100% confirming this. And I'd also like to clear one thing up because people out in public are giving me the gears. I want John Tavares and Mitch Marner to make as much money as they can possibly get. Get them for every last cent. But I'd also, as a former Maple Leaf player and someone who covers the Leafs, I want to see the team win. And to me, it doesn't make sense losing year after year and continuing to sign these guys and keeping them in the fold when you lose. That's the last time I'm going to address it because people are like, you're a hater. You hate. I don't hate anybody. I want to see the team win. And if you're not winning, how the hell do you keep tossing money at the same guys that lose? It doesn't make sense.
I'm with you. I hear you. I hear the same chatter. I get the same commentary.
Like people are like, it's the captain. It's Jani Toronto. I'm like, I don't care who the hell it is, man. If you don't win, you don't stay. You don't play. Like, you got to change the team.
And the easiest way around all of these potential issues is for them to win. Go out there and win, and everyone breathes easy. The greatest possible
Go to the conference
story.
final and lose in Game 7, and then everyone can look at it and say, maybe you kind of need those guys to stick around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How about a cup final and actually win in Game 7 of the cup final? That'd be even
Yes.
better. Go the next step. Yes.
Anything than a first-round bounce or quickly in the second.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to get, like, that's the thing. Marner's a little bit different. Nyes is different based on where they are in their careers. Although Marner's a UFA, and you got to consider where he's going. He's not going to be a kid if you give him an 8-year deal. All these things have to be considered. But with Tavares, like, you got to get to the playoffs first before anyone should make any decision on anything, Leafs included. And obviously, Leafs being the primary, topic here and really determination in terms of what's going to happen because it's their team and they get to hand out the contracts and it's their responsibility to build the team out. But you got to, if you lose in the first round again, everything you said and I've said, I don't see how anyone could argue against that. I don't. But a perfect scenario, of course, dream ending, is Tavares retires a Leaf, Marner retires a Leaf, Matthews and Nylander, they all do it. They've won cups. That's what everyone wants to see happen.
Right.
They play the games. They have to play and they have to change it. They're the ones that have to do it. It's their responsibility.
Yeah. And
that would be great, but you got to go do it first.
And look, the players have some say in that, right?
Yes.
The players have some say in whether or not they're going to win because there's a pie, and the bigger your piece, the less everybody else's piece. That's just how it works in the National Hockey League. So I'll deny this and say John Tavares is going to do something we haven't seen anybody in this cohort of players do, even though he's not just a would-be 35-goaler, as you say, like Matthew Nyes, who's got 25 goals this year. He actually has 35 goals this year.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he's on pace for a little more than that. He's coming off, guys. He's the second star of the month in the NHL.
Incredible.
It's the best month of his career.
Yeah, amazing.
13 goals in 15 games. I mean, this guy is not slowing down at age 34. He might be getting better, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he has a long-term view here. As much as I'm sure his agent is in his ear telling him, you can get a lot, man.
Yep.
You can get a lot of money here. Forget about age. It's just a
I
number.
think the one thing you can't do, Feschuk, is you can't fall in love with your own players more than any other players in the league. Because there was a guy that scored 41 goals last year. Do you know what team he played on?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. And now he's playing in a team where it's not going so well, making a lot of money. Mr. Stamkos.
Yeah.
That's
the issue.
But I think Tavares is smart enough. Look, he was smart enough to be a good soldier through the transition from the C to the A, have a career year pretty close, it's not 47 goals.
But it's still going to be a lot of points.
One of the best
goals.
years of his career.
Absolutely.
And coming on at the right time, too, peaking in March. Hopefully he continues it through April. But I think Tavares is smart enough to know that if you give a little here, you can get a lot later.
Yes.
Okay. But let me ask you this, Feschuk. If you watched him in the playoffs where the pace quickens and the ice shrinks and it's a different ball game to shine on. If it's not even close in the playoffs, are you still like, yeah, bring him aboard? Like,
oh, no. No, I've been telling these guys to break up the team for a long time, just like you guys have. I mean, there's no way any rational human being can expect this to be different with the same core four. Now, maybe it'll be different if you get great goaltending. Maybe it'll be different if the trees on defense are the trees on defense in the playoffs in a very effective way. But I'm with you. Like if they don't go very deep here, there's got to be a complete rethink.
There's a lot of data here. Yes, you would think so.
We're past the 11th anniversary, or we're coming up to the 11th anniversary this month of Mr. Shanahan's tenure as president. He's had one idea, one overarching idea: keep these guys together. That may be the end of that idea if they don't make something happen quick, in May and maybe June.
And again, they're lucky that they have another opportunity to change it all. Like, that's the amazing thing, that if you go on one run, the previous 6 years gets completely thrown out. Like, they're lucky that they're still together and they have chances to keep going for it. A lot of other teams would have said, we can't continue to do this years ago. Yeah. And they need one run, and everyone will breathe easy. One run, and everyone will say, all right, you got it. It was actually, you needed Tanev and Carlo, and you need Stolarz and Net and Berube behind the bench.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be. Like, if this team collectively goes on a run, it will be, the core four it always made sense. The team building from that standpoint always made sense. They just needed the other pieces to fall in place. And that will be the argument.
Blame Kyle Dubas. It was all Dubas'
It was all Dubas' fault. Dubas and Sheldon Keefe will take all the heat, for sure. All right, confirm or deny. If healthy, this gets back to what we talked about earlier this hour. If healthy, you are 100% healthy and you can play. Jani Hakanpaa should play in the playoffs. Confirm or deny. If he's healthy, it's all good. Jani Hakanpaa should be playing for the Maple Leafs in the playoffs.
You know what?
Here we go.
After the tirade I just went on, I'm going to confirm it, because if he's healthy and someone on that coaching staff decided that he's going to go on the ice, they're confident that what happened in the past and what they saw in the past is not going to be there, and he can be an everyday contributor. I don't think anyone would risk putting him in a playoff game if he couldn't play and be a factor.
Yep.
I mean,
confirm it too, man.
Yeah, there's still a chance it could go ugly, and you're watching it and you're like, no thanks on that one. But to start off, if somebody decides he's healthy and can play, he's going in there.
And it would, listen, Benoit could cause you problems come playoff time as well. And if it's one game and it goes south, it's a big game. Every game matters. Every game counts. But it doesn't mean you have to commit to him for the rest of time. You give him a shot. He's healthy. He can play. If it doesn't work, you're out. Benoit goes back in.
Yeah.
Jani, he can play. Get him in there. Get him in there for game one.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun hypothetical if he's healthy. Like, it's the biggest.
Of course it is.
Like, it's a 6'7" if. It's a massive long reach stick if. Like,
yes.
He's a massive human being that could be obviously very effective. He's been very effective. That's why they got him on board. That's why they initially wanted to sign him to a 2-year deal until they found out that the knee wasn't very good.
Right.
And that was subtly diminished to a 1-year deal that's turned into a 2-game deal to date. So yeah, you'd love that guy out there. As you outlined it perfectly, Hayes. It was the perfect right-left, big guy. It was the perfect third pairing with him and Ekman Larson, both with some experience in big games. I just can't see it happening.
Okay. Quick update here from John Schneider on Max Scherzer. He had a cortisone shot, and I guess the hope is that this will calm the inflammation. And there's no hard timeline to start throwing again, but they'll keep evaluating him daily. So every day he's going to come in and get a new evaluation.
He's day to day.
But cortisone shot, that means no surgery right now for Max Scherzer. And I don't know if this really actually leads to any clarity whatsoever. Because if mentally he feels something, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what the doctor says. It doesn't matter what the MRI says.
Yeah, but I've had a cortisone shot in my shoulder, dude, and it's like you don't have any issues at all.
Right. Okay, so maybe he gets right back out there, but at some point it wears off, right? Like, what is it, 3 months? Does it go? Can it get him through the whole season?
No, you need another one.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know what the timelines
2
are.
to 3 months is generally what the surgeons say.
So maybe that's what the surgeon's saying. Like, listen, it's not something that can be fixed via surgery. That's not an option. We'll give you a cortisone shot, and you got to go pitch. And it's up to you whether or not you're willing to grind through it.
Maybe that was the game plan. He was like, look, man, I'm 41 years old. I don't need any long-term prognostications here. I need to get through this season, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So what do I got to do it?
Okay. So maybe you got to maybe I guess that is a positive then. Like the alternative was surgery, and this guy's done for a long time. But my point is you're dealing with a pitcher who clearly is sensitive to it. So even with the cortisone shot, if he is gripping a baseball and he goes, I can't, my lats, you're done. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not going to matter.
Like, it doesn't matter what the doctor's going to say if mentally he can't get across the finish line to actually let loose.
Yeah, usually when you hear cortisone shot, and I've talked to a bunch of surgeons over the years, like cortisone shots like, we probably shouldn't be doing this. It's probably not going to work.
Right.
Let's just try it. We got nothing to lose. It costs $60.
Yeah, exactly.
Insert it.
It's like you need a knee replacement, but you don't want to get it.
Yeah.
We'll give you a cortisone shot and you can get through a few months.
See if it helps. It might not.
$60.
It does. That's what it costs.
I know. $48.99.
Do you think he files that through the Jays? Like, do you think Scherzer pays cash for that? Especially in the States, it's probably even more money.
I definitely know that when you're a professional athlete, you ain't paying for squat.
Right.
Even if you make $15 million and this thing costs $4.
Can you imagine like the audacity to send a text to Ross Atkins and say, "Who am I forwarding this to?"
Yeah.
It's $49.99.
That's right.
I'm not paying. Like, you got to understand. I know I'm making $15 million, and I've made over $300 million in my career. It would be so easy for me to pay cash and this is over with, but I'm not doing that.
No.
So who do I forward this invoice?
I need the insurance card. Where's Ross
saying
Atkins'
that, you would be
insurance card?
shocked at guys making a lot of money, what they kind of bitch and complain about. Like, and you'd also be shocked on the team side what they bitch and complain about.
Yeah.
Like, I heard stories in the past where guys would go to the minors, and on the way back to the city, like, they would buy a newspaper and kind of add it into the expenses, and the team would be like, what's with the newspapers? And it's like, really, dude? A $1 newspaper and you're asking me about it? All kinds of nonsense like that.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Or it's like other athletes. It's like, do you need the private jet to go to that doctor in Arizona? Take it.
Well, do you think
other
Scherzer,
people have to worry about a newspaper at a gas station?
Do you think Scherzer went private? Like, that would have been the private bird, probably.
Dude, he's made $300 million.
No, I know,
he
but
better have gone private.
Is Rodgers paying for it? That's my question.
Oh,
like, did he call up Rodgers and say, "Get that thing fired up. I'm going to Pennsylvania for the day"? What do you think happened?
Oh,
I don't think that.
You think so?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
I don't know. I think there is a doubt. I think they would say, we'll pay for a first-class ticket, but we're not firing up the jet for you to go see somebody about your thumb.
Well, the problem is there's not a lot of directs to
Wherever
Pittsburgh.
this guy is. We don't even know where he is. Is it Pittsburgh?
Or is it Philly? I don't know.
I don't know. He's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, whatever. It wouldn't shock me if they
I
gave
wouldn't
him
be
the bird.
I wouldn't be shocked either, but I also wouldn't be shocked if the owner was like, "We're already starting with this. We gave the guy $15 million. We're doing private birds." Like, what if in 2 weeks he's got to go back? Where do you draw the line on you get the private like, is that in the contract? Is Scott Boras? It's in the fine print. If I ever need to go see a specialist, you supply me with a private plane.
Everybody's asking for private bird privilege.
I understand they're asking for it. Does everyone get it?
Guys who had, look at Dubas went to Pittsburgh and asked for private bird privileges with
Did he
the
get 'em?
Penguins. I believe he did.
Ah, good for him.
Not for every.
Yeah, it's a limitation.
Not for every cortisone
Well, that was
shot,
famous that Babcock had a certain amount of hours with the
Get some
MLSE
hours.
plane. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to waste it on a cortisone shot?
I'll tell you when he did get it. He got it when he got fired. They flew it out there to bring him back to Toronto.
Yes, they did. Do you think Babs still has like his contract's done now? But after he was fired, could he technically call that in and say, "I still have
Dude, are
5
you
hours
for
on the
real,
private
man?
plane"?
No one, when
he
they get
did.
fired, I think it would be the private bird element of the contract. When you get piked by a team,
I don't know, man.
that's gone.
They still got to
you
pay
think
him.
he's going to call up Jerry Tannenbaum and say, "Give me the bird"?
Yes.
Hey, man, it's in
why
the
wouldn't he?
contract.
I
in the
would. You're
contract.
telling me you wouldn't? If you had that deal and it was locked in, and they gave him everything, man.
But
that was
what I'm trying
ironclad.
to say is, I'm almost 100% positive. Termination means the hours to the bird are no
Why
longer
would
a
it?
fit.
They still got to pay him. The money doesn't come to an end. You fire the guy, you still got to pay the guy.
Yes,
why wouldn't
but
the
that
perks
would
be in
be,
there?
that's why it would be like, we're still going to be giving you the money, but the access to the bird, it ends upon termination.
I don't think so, man.
Depends what the
Dude,
contract says.
Somebody,
so.
please, who understands this, let me know.
Shoot a
via
note down.
text.
Well, you can't send a note to the Leafs. They won't answer that. But someone that has a connection with MLSE, I need to know if Mike Babcock has been on that plane post
We could probably
being
find
fired.
It might be a tricky one.
Because,
to find out.
it's
it's a little embarrassing if he has been for
MLSE?
Yeah.
Why? They fired the guy.
Oh, I know, but to
Like, you gave
O's
him the
point,
deal.
you probably should have written into the contract that once you're fired,
It would
you don't
be
get
in the
bird
contract. The hours that you are so-called entitled to,
Yes.
upon termination, you're no longer entitled
Okay,
to.
As long as
so
it says so in
You
the
want some
contract.
jabroni coming back that you've canned saying, listen, I'm going to the Bahamas, fire up the MLSE bird?
yeah.
That would be lunacy.
I
man.
agree with you. It would be lunacy, but I think it's lunacy anyway that the guy even had it in his deal.
Yeah.
Like, when does a coach get access to the private plane? Only
Everybody
Babcock.
asking for. I'm telling you,
They're asking for it. Doesn't mean they're all getting
A lot
it.
of people get it now. A lot, it doesn't become public because it
Why
sounds
wouldn't
kind
you-
of pretentious. And there's the
You know that Babs
ecological
was
side
like
to it.
signed, sealed, and delivered in Buffalo, right? Like
Oh yeah,
it
his
was
wife said, "I'm not
basically-
living in Buffalo."
Yes, and guess what? Probably put it over the top.
No,
if
but
I'm coming
that-
up, that plane is available. I don't care if you fire me tomorrow. I'm calling you in 8 years, and I'm jumping on that plane.
Right.
When I'm going to Hawaii, I'm taking that plane. I think he'd. I think
you've
he'd.
gone too
I
far.
think
They're
he
not-
would
they're not
honestly
fly-
say,
he's not
"I'll
using
meet
that
you in
thing."
court if you're not giving me that plane." You think that's beneath Mike Babcock to sue these guys?
He's been known to be
He
litigious.
hated Maple Leaf Sports
He's been in court a
Entertainment on the
few
way
times.
out.
He's been in court.
Yeah, if that's in the deal, it wouldn't get public because it would be embarrassing for everyone involved. But you're telling me if you got fired, if you were in Mike Babcock's shoes, God forbid, and you got fired, you knew you were entitled to that, you wouldn't still call up and say, "Have that thing ready." I would.
Hey, you know how many people phone up Larry Tannenbaum and ask to use his plane? You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because he's a nice guy. He seems like the kind of guy who might say yes.
Right. And like there's certain athletes, like Matthews, that would have been private bird to Germany and back. He's not paying for that.
That
But
was
there's-
more than $60 for the cortisone shot.
And
That was
a
not
lot
a
more than
private
60
bird to
bucks.
Germany. I thought the same thing, but
He flew what, first class?
Pod.
I would imagine it was first class.
the
It was
pod.
not on a private bird though to Germany.
Look at you, the private
go.
bird insider. So you can find out what's up with Babcock that's
if
breaking
you want,
news.
If you want, I will dig into if Bab still uses the
Please.
Leafs
Well,
bird.
not anymore.
No. It's contract sub. Just shoot a note out. You know who you can ask. I know you can ask somebody in particular, and just say, to clarify, can you give us some sort of idea on whether or not Mike Babcock would still have access to what was contractually, stipulated, the private plane post being fired? How does that operation work? Because now I'm fascinated. Now I need to know
it's
if
worth
he's
looking
got his
into.
feet up on the MLSE plane 2 years after being fired.
Yeah, and he's calling his lawyer saying, way to write it into the
Fine
contract,
print,
buddy.
man. Fine
nice
print.
fine print.
I had a hook, line, and sinker down in Buffalo. Jerry Pagula was going to give me access to it for the rest of time.
That's right.
All right. I need to know the answer on this.
Can't believe I'm even asking.
Shoot a
someone
text.
about this.
Shoot a text. All right.
He's
man,
asking. I
we're
love it.
breaking news here. We're going to break news on this. All right. Mike Johnson in 20 minutes. Craig Button still to con. Dallas Braden coming up as well. The torpedo bat. It's on fire throughout baseball, man. We saw it again last night. Multiple spots throughout the league. It's the go-to bat now. You have to have a torpedo bat.
Well, you'd be stupid not to try it.
You
at
gotta
least.
give it a
Ellie
shot.
De La Cruz tried it the other
Dude,
night.
he hit two home runs last night.
4 for 5.
Two bombs that were out of the universe.
And he,
ribbies.
prior to batting practice yesterday, he had never touched it.
Yeah.
So he puts it in play at batting practice. There he is. Look how cold Ellie is. He's so cold. And he had 11 total bases, 2 home runs, and like you said, man, he crushed these
Look at that
baseballs. Like, it's freezing in Cincinnati, too. It's probably
Ball's
10
not
degrees
traveling.
there. Ball's not traveling. That guy hit that 15 feet past. He hit the same home run twice.
Launch angle. Look at that thing.
Torpedo bat. You got to have it, man. If you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Mike Johnson in 15 minutes. Leafs in action tomorrow night. The Capitals are in Boston, where Ryan Leonard will make his debut tonight for the Caps, and Alex Ovechkin is 5 goals away from setting a new record And it was a pretty cool scene, I guess, in Boston. They were at some bar last night, or probably the night before. And there's Ovi. That's captain behavior, right? Like you get the kid showing up. Ryan Leonard's going to make his NHL debut. He's a big, big prospect for this team. You got to take him out on the town. I love that play by Alex Ovechkin.
Oh, yeah.
I love it from Ovi, and it wouldn't shock me if this kid – it's tough at the World Juniors. There's Ovi. He's just – all he does is sing to rap music and laugh with guys and eat Subway and rip home goals. I love this guy. But that Leonard, that Perreault, Yannick Perreault's son with the New York Rangers, like watching how good those kids were, it wouldn't shock me if they're just like good players in the NHL right away.
Yeah, it's a big get, man.
It wouldn't shock me, man. Because they're just that talented. Obviously, there could be a learning curve where it's like, okay, kid, you're in the NHL. But that Ryan Leonard, he was the best forward at the World Juniors. That's saying something. Like, Connor Bedard was the best forward at the World Juniors. So was this guy. Like, he's big. He's like a Ryan Kessler, possibly with better hands and a better scoring touch. Like, big right-handed centerman who plays for keeps. Good player, man. Wouldn't shock me if he's successful right away.
Well, I'm with you on that. And you're running off adrenaline generally when you first arrive. We saw that Cole Caulfield, remember, a few years ago when he showed up and just started ripping home goals.
Well, it's a big advantage. I mean, this guy only played 37 games with Boston College. I mean, they play like twice a week. They're in the weight room 3 times a week. They're eating great. Division I athletes get treated like gold nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So
probably making some money down there.
You know, in other words, everybody else is going through this 82-game grind. This guy's playing half a schedule. You know, he can board the moving train and do just fine.
And he's jumping on a good one in Washington, man. You couldn't ask for a better start. Like the Ovechkin chase, immediately you're a part of that. They're going to the playoffs, the 1 seed in the East. Sets up well for him. All right, we'll continue with Confirm or Deny later this afternoon. Mike Johnson coming up as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.